Okay, let's find the area of compound shapes. So remember, a compound shape is an irregular shape, one that we don't really have a name for, and it's usually a combination of two or more shapes. The ones we're going to talk about today are combinations of different rectangles. So if we look at this figure, it is not a shape we're going to know. Right? We don't have a name for it. We've not seen it before, or maybe we've seen it before, but we've not seen this particular one. So what we're going to want to do is cut it into shapes that we know. So we're talking about rectangles here. If you notice our definition or the breakdown here. So rectangle A, and we can really break it into a couple of different things. You could chop it into a rectangle like this and chop this rectangle into that. We could do it that way. We also could chop them this way. We're going to go with this way, just to give us our area this way. This is one approach to do it. You can do it different ways. So if we're looking at this rectangle right here, I'm going to highlight this one, this guy right in here. So that's going to be rectangle A. So if we look at, and remember, area equals base times height, or length times width. So we have 4 and 6 as our length and our width. So 4 times 6. So if we walk through this, we've got 4 times 6, right? And then 4 times 6 equals 24. All right. So that is our area of our first rectangle. Now, if we go to rectangle B, that's going to be this guy right up here. Now, this is a little bit tricky because our length is going to be 20 and our height, or our length and our width, our base and our height. So our base is going to be 20 and our height is going to be this little spot right here. Okay. Now, here's the hard part. This says 10 meters, but that's the length of this entire line. But we know that from here to here is 6. So what's left for this spot, for this height right here? This would be 4, because 6 plus 4 equals 10, right? So the height of this red rectangle is going to be 4. So that's where we're getting this 20 times 4. So our area of this is going to be 80. Now our last one is going to be this guy. It's going to be green. So our green rectangle is rectangle C, and our base and our height of this is 6 and 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. So now what we're left to do is add this up. So 24 plus 80 plus 18 equals 120. So that's just one example of this works. So these are just some board notes to kind of help us figure everything out. So again, there are a couple of different ways to cut these different rectangular shapes. Same thing with this one. We cut it this way with the dotted line. We could have cut it this way instead. It depends on which way you're comfortable with. Okay, let's give it a try. So for this rectangle, we could do, let's cut it this way, right there. All right. So our rectangle, actually, let me get a different line, a darker line. Here we go. So this rectangle down here, I'm going to shade it this lighter color, is our height, our base and our height is 6 and 3, right? So 6 times 3 equals 18. Correct? And then this dark blue triangle, our base and our height would be 6 and 4. And 6 times 4 equals 24. Then we're going to add 18. My hand hit the button there. We're going to add 18 and 24. And if it helps to write it down here to give yourself a little extra space, that's perfectly fine. So I get 42. So my area is 42 inches squared. Okay, so 42 inches squared would be the area of this entire blue shape, the bottom rectangle and the top rectangle. 24. Oop. All right, let's try another one. And they already have these chopped up for us to give us kind of a guide. And we'll figure out our different areas. So this one right here, let's do this rectangle first. So this rectangle, we have, let's see, 3 times 6 would be our base and our height for this. So 3 times 6 equals 18. And then let's go with our other one over here. So this rectangle, we have 2 times 8, which equals 16. Now, this third triangle is the tricky one. So if we look at this one, it's a little bit trickier because we have some unknowns going on here, right? So if we look at this rectangle right here, right, this one, we have 3 centimeters as our height there, which means this is also 3 centimeters, right? So the length of this rectangle is 8. 5 plus 3, which is 8. Then we need to figure out what our height is. So this says 6 centimeters. The height of this whole line is 8. So 6 plus 2 would equal 8. So this is 8 times 2. So we have 16 again, actually. So now we're going to add these up. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 8 is 20. 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. So we have 50. So our area equals 50 centimeters squared. Oh, my 2 got a little crazy there. Squared. All right, last one. So we have a couple of squares put together on top of a rectangle. So we have this rectangle is going to be our trickier one to figure out in terms of length. And our width is there, but our length is not. So we have our little rectangles here, or our squares, I'm sorry, that we are going to figure out because those have the dimensions clearly defined. So this top one, we have 9 times 10 because our base and our height, 9 times 10. So that equals 90. And then we look down here at this other bottom one, which is another 9 times 10. They are equivalent rectangles. So 9 times 10 is 90. And actually, I think I said before that these were both squares. They are not because they have different measurements on their sides. Okay, so now we have this center rectangle. We know the height is 10 over here, right? Our height is 10. So we have 10 as our height times, now we have to figure out what this length is. What our dimensions are telling us is that from here to here is 18, right? This is 18. If this rectangle has 9 from here to here, that means this part is also 9 centimeters. That means that this section right here is going to be 9 plus 18, which is 27. So that's 270. So now we're ready to add those up. 270 plus 90 plus 90. So 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 7 more would be 25. Regroup the 2. So 450 centimeters squared. Okay, so that is how you find the area of compound shapes if all of the shapes coming together are rectangles.